Okay, so let's kick things off with an introduction to project management. A project is essentially a temporary effort aimed at creating something completely new, whether it's a product, service, or even just a result. It's important to remember that projects have clear beginnings and endings, unlike ongoing processes like daily operations. We also need to make sure we have a defined scope, meaning we know exactly what needs to be accomplished. Now, there are some key concepts we'll want to understand. Scope management helps us keep track of everything included in the project. Schedule management deals with timing and deadlines. Cost management focuses on staying within budget. And finally, risk management is all about anticipating potential problems and planning how to handle them. Let's talk about what a project manager actually does. They're the orchestrators of projects, basically. Their main job is to make sure everything goes according to plan, from defining exactly what needs to be done right at the start, all the way through to delivering the finished product. They're responsible for planning out the project scope, figuring out who needs to do what, and managing those resources effectively. A big part of their role is also keeping everyone involved, the team, stakeholders, clients, up to date on progress. And because projects rarely go perfectly smoothly, they have to be skilled at identifying potential problems and coming up with solutions quickly. Okay, let's talk about the differences between these roles. A project manager is all about getting things done, delivering a specific product or service on time and within budget. They're focused on the how. Then you have product managers who are thinking about what we should be building in the first place, really understanding the customer's needs and prioritizing features. Finally, program managers take a broader view, overseeing multiple projects all working towards a larger strategic goal. They are like conductors, ensuring everything plays together harmoniously. Okay, let's talk about the project lifecycle. It's essentially how we manage projects from start to finish. First, we initiate the project, figuring out what we're trying to do and if it's even possible. Then comes planning where we build a detailed roadmap with tasks, timelines, and budgets. Next, we execute that's when the work actually gets done. We constantly monitor progress, looking for any problems and making adjustments as needed. Finally, we close the project, ensuring everything is complete and we've learned from the experience. Okay, let's talk about how project managers choose the right approach for a project. We have three main options here: waterfall, agile, and hybrid. Waterfall is the classic linear model. You plan everything up front, move through stages one by one, and it works best when your requirements are really clear and unlikely to change. Agile, on the other hand, is all about flexibility and working in short cycles called sprints. It's great for projects where things might shift around a bit and customer feedback is super important. Finally, we have hybrid, which is basically a blend of both. You can use waterfall for the initial planning stages and then switch to agile during development. It's all about finding the best fit for your specific project's needs. Okay, let's talk about agile frameworks. As a project manager, you'll need to understand that there isn't one size fits all approach. Scrum is really popular. It's all about short cycles called sprints and working closely with your team. Kanban focuses on visualizing your workflow and keeping the work in progress manageable. For larger organizations, SAFe can help coordinate multiple teams. And if you're working with a single team, LSS might be a great option. The best framework depends on your specific project and how your team works. Okay, so let's talk about the core team members in Scrum. They're absolutely crucial to how things work. First up is the product owner. Think of them as the product's advocate. They know what the customer wants and make sure everyone on the team understands that vision. Then there's the Scrum Master, who acts like a coach and facilitator, helping the team stay on track with the process. Finally, you have the development team. This is where all the magic happens. It's a group of people who actually build and deliver the product in small chunks. Okay, let's talk about those three vital meetings in Agile: sprint planning, review, and retrospective. First up is sprint planning, usually lasting an hour or two. This is where we decide what the team's going to tackle next, breaking down big user stories into smaller, manageable tasks and figuring out how much effort each will take. Then there's the sprint review, a chance for the team to show off their progress and get feedback from stakeholders. It's not about fixing bugs, it's about validating our work. Finally, we have the sprint retrospective. This is all about looking back at the last sprint, figuring out what went well, what didn't, and how we can improve things for next time. It's a super important part of continuous learning and team growth. Okay, so let's talk about creating your project charter. Think of it like laying the foundation for your entire project. The first thing you need to do is clearly define exactly what you're trying to achieve. Make sure those goals are SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Then identify everyone who's involved or affected by the project. Stakeholders are key. Next, draw clear lines around the scope of your work, defining what asterisk is asterisk included and equally important, what's asterisk not asterisk. You'll also want to estimate a rough budget and initial resources. Don't forget to think about potential risks, what could go wrong. And finally, establish how you'll know if you've actually succeeded. It is an essential document that should be revisited as the project evolves. Okay, let's talk about keeping projects on track, specifically how we manage what's included and what isn't. Scope management is all about nailing down exactly what we're building or delivering, documenting it clearly so everyone understands the goals. We create a scope statement that lays out everything from the deliverables to the budget. And because things inevitably change during a project, we need a system for handling those changes. That's where change control comes in. It's not about saying no to every suggestion, but about evaluating each potential change carefully, looking at how much it will cost, how long it will take, and what the risks are. Then we decide whether to accept or reject the change, and if accepted, integrate it into our project plan systematically. Okay, so let's talk about gathering requirements. That's where we really dig in to figure out exactly what our stakeholders want from this project. It starts with talking to people directly, interviewing them, holding brainstorming sessions, and running structured workshops. We need to get a clear picture of their needs. Then, it's all about documenting those requirements, using things like user stories or functional specifications, basically creating a single source of truth that everyone can refer to throughout the project. Okay, let's talk about the work breakdown structure, often called a WBS. Think of it as your project's detailed blueprint. It breaks down that big, overwhelming goal into smaller, manageable pieces. Why do we need this? Well, it helps us clearly define exactly what needs to be done, making planning easier and more accurate. It also ensures everyone on the team is on the same page, and it makes assigning tasks much simpler. A WBS generally has 3 levels, starting with the overall project deliverable, then breaking it down into major phases like design or development, and finally drilling down to specific tasks, things like creating mockups or writing database queries. It's a powerful tool for keeping your projects on track. Okay, let's talk about scheduling. It's absolutely vital for any project. Think of it like this: without a plan, you're just wandering around. We'll look at some key techniques like Gantt charts and the critical path method, which helps us find the longest path through our tasks, and the work breakdown structure, which breaks down huge projects into smaller, easier chunks. And then there's task dependencies. These are what hold everything together. They tell us that one thing can't start until another is finished. We can see an example of this in a simple table here. So essentially, good scheduling and knowing how your tasks relate to each other will set you up for success. Okay, let's talk about Gantt charts. They're a project manager's best friend. Essentially, a Gantt chart is a visual timeline that breaks down your whole project into smaller, manageable tasks. Think of it like a roadmap for your project. It shows you exactly what needs to be done and when, highlighting any dependencies between those tasks, meaning one task has to finish before another can begin. It helps everyone on the team understand the schedule, keeps things organized, and makes sure we're hitting our milestones along the way. Okay, let's talk about the critical path method, or CPM. Think of it like this: you have a project, and lots of different things need to happen. The CPM helps us figure out exactly when everything needs to be done in order to finish on time. We start by looking at all the tasks, figuring out which ones depend on others. Those are our dependencies. Then we estimate how long each task will take. Finally, we work backwards to find the longest sequence of connected tasks. That's your critical path. Any delay on the asterisk path means the whole project gets pushed back. And it's not a static thing. You need to keep an eye on things and adjust as needed. Okay, let's talk about getting your team set up for success. Resource planning and allocation is all about making sure you have the right people, tools, and budget available when you need them. It starts with figuring out exactly what tasks need to be done and what skills are required for each one. Then it's about identifying where those resources, whether they're your team members or external experts, can come from. It's important to check everyone's availability, so you don't end up over-allocating someone. Once you know who's doing what, you schedule them accordingly, keeping in mind deadlines and dependencies. Finally, resource planning isn't a set it and forget it thing. You need to keep an eye on things as the project progresses and be ready to adjust your plans if needed. Okay, let's talk about estimating how long a task will take, specifically using PERT, or Program Evaluation and Review technique. It's all about considering the range of possibilities, not just picking one number. We use 3 estimates: what we think is the asterisk best case, asterisk optimistic, what we think is most likely to happen, and what's the worst case scenario. Then, there's a simple formula: optimistic plus 4 times the most likely estimate plus the pessimistic estimate, all divided by 6. That gives us our expected time. And to understand how uncertain we are, we calculate standard deviation, which is basically the difference between the worst and best estimates, all divided by 6. It helps us gauge potential delays or overruns. Okay, let's talk about budgeting and cost management, a huge part of being a successful project manager. It's not just about writing a number, it's about ensuring your project stays within its financial boundaries. First, you need to really understand what asterisk needs to be covered: labor costs, materials, software, everything. Then, you'll use different techniques like looking at similar past projects or breaking down tasks to estimate how much things will actually cost. Finally, constant monitoring and control, tracking where the money is going and making adjustments as needed, are absolutely vital. Let's talk about Earned Value Management, or EVM. It's essentially a way to keep tabs on how your project is doing, both financially and in terms of schedule. We have 3 core pieces of information: the planned budget, what you've actually completed, and the actual cost. Using those, we calculate some really useful metrics like schedule variance, cost variance, SPI, and CPI. These give us a clear picture if we're on track, over budget, or need to make adjustments. Okay team, let's talk about managing potential problems on our projects. Risk management planning is all about being proactive. First, we need to identify what could go wrong, things like cost overruns or delays. Then we assess how likely those risks are and how badly they could affect the project. We create strategies to deal with and maybe a backup plan if something goes sideways. Finally, it's crucial to keep an eye on these risks throughout the whole project and adjust our plans as things change. Okay, let's talk about keeping track of problems or issues on a project. It's really important to catch these early, so we don't end up with bigger headaches later. The first step is simply noticing an issue and logging it in our tracking system. We need to detail exactly what the problem is, how much it affects the project, we call this severity, and then how urgently it needs fixing as priority. It's also helpful to note who reported the issue and who's responsible for tackling it. Next, we have escalation triggers. These are signs that an issue needs someone higher up involved, like if it's a serious problem or hasn't been addressed quickly enough. Finally, we need a clear path on how to escalate. Who do you contact when something is beyond the team's ability to handle? Okay, let's talk about stakeholders. These are all the people or groups who will be affected by your project, whether they realize it or not. Identifying them early on is super important. We need to figure out who's interested in the project and how much power they have to influence things. It's like a stakeholder matrix. We can rank them by their interest level and influence, helping us prioritize our communication efforts and make sure everyone's needs are being met. Okay, let's talk about keeping everyone in the loop. That's what a stakeholder communication plan is all about. It's like creating a roadmap for how you'll share project updates with all the different people who have a stake in its success. First, we need to identify who those stakeholders are: your clients, team members, sponsors, really everyone involved. Then, we build a communication matrix. Think of it as a table that outlines exactly when and through what channels you'll be sending updates to each person. Email, meeting, a quick message, and importantly, we establish an escalation path for anything urgent or critical. The key is to communicate clearly and concisely, tailoring the information to each stakeholder's needs. Okay, let's talk about getting the most out of your project meetings and how to make sure everyone is on the same page. As a project manager, you're the conductor of these sessions. It's your job to set a clear agenda up front with specific goals and stick to the time. Then actively guide the discussion, keeping people focused while still valuing diverse opinions. Don't just listen, truly understand what everyone is saying. And importantly, always manage the clock. Now, when things are decided, it's crucial to document them properly. We're talking about creating meeting minutes that summarize key points, clearly outlining action items with assigned owners and deadlines, and maintaining a decision log, essentially documenting why decisions were made, backed up by any relevant data or reasoning. This clarity helps avoid misunderstandings down the road and keeps everyone accountable. Okay, let's talk about building and managing a fantastic team. It's a huge part of being a successful project manager. First off, you need to get the right people on board from the start, focusing on skills that complement each other. Once they are in place, clear delegation is key. Give them responsibilities that match their abilities and trust them to deliver. And don't forget about open communication. Regular updates, meetings, and truly listening to what your team members have to say are vital. Now, conflicts will happen, and that's perfectly normal. The important thing is how you handle them. Start by really listening to everyone involved to understand their point of view. Then try to mediate a conversation where they can work through the issue together. Focus on the problem itself, not on blaming anyone, and be open to compromise. Finding solutions that work for everyone will ultimately lead to a stronger, more productive team. Okay team, let's talk about managing our vendors and third-party partners. It's a really important part of any project. You want to make sure you're working with the right people who can deliver what you need. We start by clearly defining exactly what we're looking for in a vendor, then we negotiate contracts that protect everyone's interests. Crucially, we don't just hire and forget, we actively monitor their performance, maintain strong relationships through open communication, and address any issues quickly. Think of it as building partnerships, not just transactions. Okay, let's talk about quality assurance and control. Super important for any project. Think of QA as making sure we're building the right thing, and control as managing how we build it. We really want to link our requirements all the way through the process from what we initially planned to the final product. This involves lots of testing at different stages, unit tests, integration tests, you name it. Reviews and inspections are also key. Getting others to look over things can catch mistakes you might miss. And, of course, we need a good system for tracking and fixing any defects that pop up. Finally, keeping an eye on quality metrics and reporting helps us stay on track and make sure we're delivering what everyone expects. Okay, let's talk about governance and compliance. These are really important parts of managing a project effectively. Think of it as making sure we're playing by the rules, not just for ourselves, but also for our clients and stakeholders. We need clear policies and procedures in place, so everyone knows what to do at each stage. Risk management is key too. That's about spotting potential problems, legal ones, financial ones, anything that could damage the project or the organization. And it's not just about paperwork. We also need to actively engage with our stakeholders, keeping them informed and addressing any concerns they might have. Finally, regular audits and reporting help us verify that everything is on track and ensure transparency. Okay, let's talk about contracts. They are absolutely essential for any project you run. Think of them as the rules of the game. We're going to cover the key things you need to understand. Scope, which is what work will actually get done. Timeline, when it needs to happen. payment terms, how and when you'll get paid, and finally, responsibilities, who's doing what. Seriously, don't just scribble your signature on a contract and hope for the best. Take the time to read through everything carefully before you sign off. Okay, let's talk about how agile ceremonies keep projects moving forward smoothly. We have a few key events that happen regularly: sprint planning, where we decide what to tackle in the next sprint; daily scrums, quick updates from the team; a sprint review to show off our progress and get feedback from stakeholders; and finally, a sprint retrospective, where we reflect on how things went and figure out ways to improve. And beyond those core ceremonies, good event management is super important. That means having clear agendas, sticking to time limits, making sure everyone knows what needs to be done, and having a facilitator keep the conversation focused. Okay, let's talk about keeping everyone on the same page: project status reporting and dashboards. Think of it like a real-time snapshot of where your project stands. It's not just about sending out emails, it's about creating a clear view of progress using key metrics like schedule and budget. We need to establish a regular cadence for updates, maybe weekly or bi-weekly, and focus on the things that really matter. Are we sticking to our timeline? Are we staying within budget? And what's happening with any potential risks? Finally, building effective dashboards is key. They should be easy to understand at a glance. Features like Gantt charts, burn-down charts, and even visual representations of resource allocation can be incredibly helpful in identifying problems early and keeping the team focused. Okay, let's talk about how we measure success on projects. We're focusing on 3 key metrics: velocity, burn-up charts, and burn-down charts. Velocity tells us how much work our team is actually getting done. Think of it as a measure of their efficiency, usually expressed in story points. Then we have burn-up charts, which show the overall amount of remaining work plotted against time, giving you a clear picture of progress towards your goals. Finally, burn-down charts track the rate at which that work is being completed over time, showing us if things are on schedule and helping us spot potential delays early on. Let's talk about keeping your clients happy. When managing projects, it's really important to know how they feel. We use 2 key numbers for that: customer satisfaction and net promoter score. CSAT is basically a simple survey asking how satisfied people were with specific parts of the project, like the deliverables themselves. Think of it as, how would you rate this on a scale of 1 to 5? Then there's NPS, which is all about loyalty. It asks, would you recommend us to a friend, and categorizes responses into promoters, passives, and detractors. Getting good scores on both helps you understand what's working well and where you can improve your project delivery. Okay, let's talk about how project managers can really master their time. The first thing is prioritization. It's absolutely crucial. Think about the Eisenhower matrix that helps you figure out what really needs your attention right away versus what can wait. Then we have the Pareto principle, also known as the 80/20 rule. It's all about focusing on those key tasks that will deliver most of the results. Finally, the MOSCOW method is a fantastic way to categorize requirements and keep things moving forward efficiently. Alongside prioritization, time blocking is your friend. Schedule specific blocks of time for different tasks. It helps you avoid getting bogged down in endless multitasking. And don't forget to use tools like to-do lists and calendars to stay on track and manage your time effectively. The Pomodoro technique can also be a game changer for sustained concentration. Okay, let's talk about making smart decisions on your projects. We'll focus on 2 really helpful frameworks, RACI and DASI. Think of RACI as a way to assign who does the work responsible, who owns the outcome accountable, who you need to talk to for input consulted, and who needs to be kept in the loop informed. It's great for clarifying roles and tasks. Then we have DASI, which is similar but specifically focuses on the person making the final call, the decider. It also includes accountable, consulted, and informed, just like RACI. You'll often use both together to really nail down who's doing what and why it matters. Okay, let's talk about project documentation. Think of it as the central nervous system for your project. It keeps everything connected and running smoothly. We've got a few key pieces to consider: the project charter, which lays out the big picture, detailed requirements, documentation outlining exactly what we need to build, design documents that act like blueprints, test plans so we can make sure everything works, risk registers to anticipate problems, and finally, meeting minutes to track decisions. The most important thing is consistency. Using standard templates helps a lot. And remember, documentation needs to stay up to date as the project changes and should be easy for everyone involved to understand. Okay, let's talk about getting a project safely into another PM hands. It's really important that this transition goes smoothly. It directly impacts the project's ongoing success. Basically, we want to make sure the new manager has all the information and context they need to pick up right where the previous one left off. That starts with a deep dive into all the existing documentation, the plans, schedules, risk assessments, and even past communications. Then it's about introducing them to everyone involved: the team members, stakeholders, and key contacts. We also need to confirm that they understand how things are currently done, like reporting procedures or how changes get handled. And of course, access to the right tools is essential, so we make sure they're comfortable using those too. A good Q&A session at the end gives them a chance to ask anything that's unclear, which really helps build confidence for the future. Okay team, let's talk about wrapping up our project and making sure we learn from everything. The closure report is really important. It's like the final stamp of approval, showing all the deliverables were met and that everyone's on board. We need to summarize everything clearly, check the budget, and get those stakeholders to sign off. But even more valuable than the report itself is what we do with the lessons learned. This isn't about dwelling on mistakes, it's about understanding why things happened the way they did, so we can apply that knowledge to future projects. We'll be looking at process improvements, how our tools worked, and even how well our team collaborated, all to make sure we're building smarter, more efficient projects going forward. Okay, let's dive into the post-implementation review process. This is really important for any project. It's not just about wrapping things up, it's about figuring out what we can do better next time. We start by planning the review itself, deciding what we want to learn and setting some key metrics. Then we collect data from all sorts of places, feedback from users, tracking our progress against goals, and even talking with the team through a retrospective. Once we've gathered that information, we analyze it, figuring out what worked great, where things could have been improved, and why those issues occurred. The most critical step is to turn these insights into actionable recommendations, assigning clear tasks and deadlines to address the problems we identified. Finally, we need to communicate our findings to everyone involved, sharing the lessons learned so they can be applied to future projects. Okay, let's talk about Agile artifacts. These are the tools we use to keep everything organized and moving forward in our projects. First up is the product backlog. Think of it as a really detailed wish list for all the things that could eventually go into our product. It's always changing and being refined based on what we learn. Next, we have user stories. These are short descriptions of features written from the point of view of the person actually using the product. They help us understand exactly what users need. And finally, the sprint board is a visual tool that shows us all the work currently in progress during each sprint and helps us stay on track. Okay, let's talk about how we measure success in Agile projects. We're not just looking at the number of features delivered, it's about how we deliver them efficiently. 3 key metrics are lead time, that's the whole time from when a customer asks for something until they get it; cycle time, which is the actual work time on an item; and finally, the cumulative flow diagram, or CFD, which is essentially a visual roadmap showing how our work flows over time. By understanding these metrics, we can spot where things are slowing down and make improvements. Okay, let's talk about managing change in a project. It's really important because projects rarely go exactly as planned, and sometimes we need changes. This slide breaks down the process into 5 key steps. First, you need to carefully assess how the change will impact everyone involved: your team, your stakeholders, even your processes. Then, it's vital to communicate clearly about why the change is happening, what's going to shift, and what that means for people. Actively getting input from those affected and engaging them is also a must. After that, you implement the changes, keeping a close eye on how things are progressing. Finally, it's important to monitor the results and adjust as needed to make sure everything is working smoothly and everyone's happy. Okay, let's talk about how project managers keep teams connected. We have a few key players here: Slack, Microsoft Teams, and Zoom. Think of Slack as your central hub for quick messages and files. It's super fast and great for day-to-day communication. Teams is a bit more like a complete office suite. It includes chat, video calls, file storage, and integrates really well with other Microsoft programs. And then there's Zoom, that's your go-to for virtual meetings and presentations, especially important if you've got a remote team or need to present to stakeholders. Let's talk about how project managers choose the right tools. Mist Project is a heavyweight, great for really complex projects with lots of dependencies and resource juggling. Then you've got Jira, which is amazing for agile teams who love using sprints and tracking those bugs efficiently. Trello is super simple and visual, perfect for keeping tasks moving in a straightforward way. And finally, Asana offers a bit more flexibility, letting you view your projects however works best for your team, whether it's as lists, boards, or even calendars. Okay, so let's talk about keeping a close eye on your project's money. Budget tracking isn't just important, it's essential for avoiding costly surprises and ensuring everyone is on the same page. There are several tools you can use, from simple spreadsheets like Excel or Google Sheets to more robust project management software. Don't underestimate the power of a good budgeting template either. And remember, regularly reviewing your spending against the planned budget and being ready to adjust as things change, that's key to keeping your projects on track financially. Okay, let's talk about resources. Managing your team's skills and availability is absolutely critical. We need tools that help us see where people are, what they can handle, and how busy they really are. There are a few main categories. Resource management software like Asana or Jira lets you track individual capabilities and workloads. Then capacity planning tools, such as Microsoft Project, forecast what we'll actually need based on our project timelines. Finally, time tracking helps us get an accurate picture of how much time is actually being spent on each task. When you combine these things, you can make smarter decisions about resource allocation, avoid bottlenecks, and keep your projects running smoothly. Okay, let's talk about managing teams that aren't all in the same room. It's a different ballgame entirely. The most important thing is to really focus on how you communicate. Use tools like Slack or Teams for regular updates and quick chats. But it goes deeper than just sending messages. You need to prioritize clear expectations and outcomes over simply tracking hours. Creating a safe space where people feel comfortable sharing ideas and admitting mistakes, even when things go wrong, is huge. And don't underestimate the power of regular check-ins. Video calls are key for building relationships and making sure everyone feels connected. Okay, let's talk about getting different teams working together on a project. It's really crucial for success if everyone is operating in silos. That can cause major problems. First, it's vital to have clear roles and responsibilities so people know exactly what they need to be doing. Then, regular communication is key. Think daily stand-ups or weekly updates using a shared platform. Make sure everyone's on the same page with a common understanding of goals and how their individual contributions fit into the bigger picture. And lastly, don't shy away from conflict. Have a process for resolving disagreements fairly and focusing on finding solutions. Okay, let's talk about managing expectations with stakeholders. It's absolutely crucial. Think of stakeholders as everyone who has a vested interest in your project: clients, sponsors, even team members. They all have different ideas of what success looks like. The first step is to figure out who those key people are and then really listen to them. What do they want? How will they measure whether the project is a win for them? We need to document these expectations and prioritize them. Some are more important than others, obviously. Then keep talking openly about progress and any changes. And when things don't align, it's time to have honest conversations and find solutions that work for everyone. Managing stakeholder expectations isn't just about saying yes, it's about building trust and setting your project up for a smooth ride. Okay, let's talk about negotiation and influencing. These are huge skills for any project manager. It's not just about getting your way, it's really about building a team that's working together effectively towards the project goals. We need to understand what the other person is actually trying to achieve, so active listening is key, truly hearing them out and making sure we understand their perspective. Then, let's look for common ground. Where do our goals overlap? We want to find those win-win solutions that benefit everyone involved. And always be clear about the value you're bringing. Show people how your proposed solution will improve things. Negotiation isn't always about being stubborn, it can involve compromise and carefully considering trade-offs. Finally, remember, building a good relationship with stakeholders is important for successful negotiation. Okay team, let's talk about keeping your project crew fired up. It's not just about assigning tasks, it's about understanding how people are motivated. There isn't one magic bullet, different leaders use different styles. You might have someone who inspires a shared vision that's transformational leadership. Or maybe you focus on clear expectations and rewards, which is transactional. Sometimes putting your team first and empowering them is the key, servant leadership. And of course, getting everyone involved in decisions through democratic leadership can be super effective. Now to actually motivate people, we need to recognize their wins, set clear goals so they know what's expected, give them chances to grow professionally, and build a team culture where people feel comfortable and supported. Let's talk about something really important: ethics and professional responsibility as a project manager. It goes way beyond just hitting deadlines. Think of your role as building trust with everyone involved. Clients, team members, stakeholders, it's all connected. We're talking about being honest and transparent in everything you do, keeping confidential information safe, and treating everyone fairly. And don't forget that accountability, taking ownership of both the good times and the challenges. It's also super important to follow industry standards and company policies, and if you ever feel unsure about what's right, it's always a good idea to ask for guidance. Ethics is ultimately about doing what's right, even when things get tricky. That's what builds a solid foundation for successful projects. Hey everyone! Let's talk about something super important for project managers: data privacy and compliance. It's not just a legal requirement, it's about building trust with your clients and users. We need to be aware of regulations like GDPR, CCPA, and HIPAA. Each has different rules around how we collect, use, and protect personal information. As the PM, you're responsible for identifying potential risks early on, mapping out where data is stored, getting consent when needed, and making sure security measures are in place. Don't forget to train your team too. A little proactive planning goes a long way toward building a secure and trustworthy project. Okay, let's talk about security and risk governance for project managers. It's really important to think about this proactively. It's not just about ticking boxes for compliance. We need to regularly assess what risks could pop up on our projects, things like vulnerabilities in the software we're using or changes in regulations that might affect us. Then, we create clear policies and procedures for how we handle data, who has access to what, and what happens if something goes wrong. Establishing a governance framework with defined roles and escalation paths ensures everyone knows their part and how things get escalated when needed. Finally, we need to continuously monitor our project's compliance with relevant rules and standards. It's all about building security into the project from the very beginning. Okay, let's talk about continuous improvement in project management. Think of it like a never-ending cycle: plan, do, check, act. It's all about learning from each project and making small, targeted adjustments to become even better over time. The PDCA cycle is a really helpful framework for this. You start by identifying areas where things could be improved based on what worked well in the past. Then you test out changes, usually small ones, and track how those changes affect your results. Finally, you analyze what happened and either keep the improvements or go back to how things were before, along with a clear note of what you learned. Okay, let's talk about how Lean principles can really boost your project management skills. At its heart, Lean is all about doing less, but doing it better. It's about focusing on what truly matters, delivering value to the customer, and eliminating anything that gets in the way. We'll start with just-in-time, which means getting things done only when they're needed, reducing waste from holding onto unnecessary inventory or waiting around for approvals. Next, we have a pull system where teams work based on actual demand rather than being told what to do next. Then we tackle waste, identifying and removing anything that doesn't add value, like defects or delays. And finally, embrace continuous improvement, constantly seeking small changes to make your process even more efficient. Essentially, Lean is about a mindset of ongoing learning and delivering real results. Let's talk about how we can make our projects even better. We're going to look at two fantastic tools, value stream mapping and Kaizen. Value stream mapping is like creating a detailed blueprint of your entire workflow, showing every step involved in getting the project done from start to finish. It helps us spot any bottlenecks or wastefulness, things that aren't adding value. Then we have Kaizen. Think of it as small steps, big impact. It's all about making little improvements consistently, always looking for ways to refine our processes and boost quality. Using these two together creates a powerful cycle where we continuously learn and improve our projects. Okay, let's talk about how project portfolios and programs fit together. A portfolio is like a collection of all the projects your organization is working on right now. It's essentially what we're doing. Now, a program is different. It's a group of related projects that are linked together to achieve something bigger, more strategic. Think about it as why these projects are connected and how they ultimately contribute to the company's overall goals. We'll look at some key differences in scope, management focus, and even the timeline involved. Okay, let's talk about integration management. It's absolutely critical to getting a project done right. Think of it as the glue that holds everything together. We start by really nailing down exactly what needs to be delivered, documenting those requirements clearly. Then we build our project management plan, which is like a single source of truth for the entire operations schedule, budget, resources, and so on. Communication is key, making sure everyone involved knows what's going on and has the information they need. And finally, managing stakeholder expectations, keeping them updated and addressing any concerns proactively. It's all about creating a smooth workflow where everything integrates seamlessly. Okay, let's talk about keeping your projects on schedule. The first thing we do is build a work breakdown structure, essentially breaking the whole project down into smaller, easier to manage chunks. Next up are Gantt charts. These give you a clear visual timeline of everything that needs to happen and when. Then comes the critical path method, figuring out which tasks really matter because they directly impact the overall deadline. And finally, for projects where things change frequently, we can use an iterative approach like agile scheduling, planning shorter sprints and adapting as we go. It's important to have regular schedule review meetings, to think weekly or bi-weekly updates to make sure you're on track. Okay, let's talk about tackling conflicts on projects. Today we're diving into two powerful techniques, negotiation and mediation. Negotiation is basically a direct conversation where parties work together to find an agreement that works for everyone. It's all about really understanding what each person needs and finding common ground. Then there's mediation, which brings in a neutral third party, the mediator, who helps guide the discussion without actually telling anyone what to do. Think of them as a facilitator, helping the parties themselves create their own solution. Both are vital skills for any project manager. Okay, so let's talk about agile release planning. This stage is all about building value step by step. Think of it as creating a roadmap that's constantly evolving based on what you're learning and the priorities of the business. We start with a high-level view of what we want to achieve in future releases, then gradually add more detail as we get closer to those dates. That's rolling wave planning. It's super important for everyone involved, product owners, developers, and stakeholders, to have a shared understanding of the plan. And honestly, it requires constant collaboration and communication between teams to make sure everything stays on track. Okay, let's talk about scaling agile. When projects get really big and involve multiple teams, it's easy for things to fall through the cracks. That's where the Scrum of Scrums comes in. It's a meeting where each team's Scrum Master shares what's going on with their team, any roadblocks they're facing, and anything impacting other teams. It's essentially a quick sync-up for all the Scrum Masters. Now, SAFe is a bigger picture framework designed to help organizations implement Agile at scale. Think of it as a roadmap. It provides a structure for planning large projects, aligning teams, and ensuring everyone's working towards the same goals. It introduces concepts like program increments, where teams work together on a larger piece of work over a set period, and emphasizes things like lean agile leadership to keep everything moving forward smoothly. Okay, let's talk about the Change Control Board, or CCB. It's essentially a gatekeeper for changes to your project. Think of it as a meeting where we carefully review any proposed modifications to the plan, making sure they don't derail us. You've got the project manager presenting the change, key stakeholders giving their input, maybe from development or business analysis, and finally, someone with the authority to decide whether it's good to go or not. It's a structured process with steps like submitting the request, assessing the impact, holding a meeting to discuss it, and then making that final decision on approval or rejection. A well-run CCB keeps things aligned and minimizes potential problems. Okay team, let's talk about keeping our projects on track. Today we're focusing on two really important things: how we manage what depends on other tasks and how we spot and deal with potential problems. Dependency management is all about figuring out which tasks rely on each other, like knowing that you can't start building a wall until the foundation is laid. It helps us plan our work in the right order, so nothing gets held up. Then there's risk assessment. Basically, we think about what could go wrong and how likely it is to happen. We then come up with plans to either prevent those problems or minimize their impact. A risk register is your central place for tracking these risks and making sure they don't derail our project. Okay team, let's talk about getting things handed off smoothly, especially crucial in project management. A good operational handoff isn't just passing over a pile of files, it's ensuring the new person really understands how everything works and can pick up right where the last person left off. We need to clearly define who's doing what, schedule dedicated knowledge transfer sessions where people can actually talk through things, and most importantly, create detailed documentation covering processes, contacts, and all those key project details. Setting a clear timeline with milestones is also vital to keep everyone on track. Think of it as setting the new team up for success from day one. Let's talk about enterprise project management. It's not just about managing individual projects, it's about ensuring those projects directly contribute to the company's overarching goals. We start with setting up clear guidelines and standards. Think of it as a project management playbook for everyone. Then we move into portfolio management, which is all about prioritizing our work so we're focusing on what truly matters. And finally, effective resource management makes sure our talented teams are working efficiently on the right projects. Okay, let's talk about keeping your projects on track. We've got something called a project health check, and it's all about taking a good look under the hood to see how things really are not just what you think they are based on reports. It's proactive. We're looking for potential problems before they become major roadblocks. Why do we need this? Because catching issues early saves time, money, and stress. We'll want to check our schedule, see if we're sticking to the plan, look at whether we are within budget, and also assess how well our resources are being utilized. Finally, let's make sure all our risks are being managed. Now, an audit goes a step further. It's like a more formal review that examines documentation, talks to team members, and analyzes data for a truly independent view. It's often used when something significant is happening or if we have concerns. Ultimately, these checks aren't about pointing fingers, they're about making sure our projects are healthy and successful. Okay, let's talk about building a solid business case for your project. Think of it as the why behind what you're proposing. Why is this important? It starts with clearly stating the problem or opportunity you're trying to address. Then, you need to describe your proposed solution and highlight all the amazing benefits it will bring, things like saving money or boosting revenue. Of course, you also have to lay out a realistic breakdown of costs and resources needed, and don't forget to proactively identify potential risks along with how you plan to manage them. Finally, make sure everything ties back to your organization's overall goals and shows that this project will provide a good return on investment. Okay, let's talk about benefits realization management, a critical part of successful project delivery. It's not enough to just finish your project on time and within budget. You need to make sure it's actually delivering the business value that was promised. The RM is all about proactively ensuring those benefits are realized after launch. We start by clearly defining what success looks like beyond just the features themselves. Then we assign ownership for each benefit, set up clear measurement criteria, and continuously track progress to demonstrate real value to stakeholders. Let's talk about cost-benefit analysis. It's how we make sure our projects are worth the investment. First, we need to list every possible expense, from labor costs to materials and software. Then, we translate the expected benefits like more revenue or save money into dollars. We calculate return on investment using a simple formula, and critically, we do summative testing with sensitivity analysis to understand potential risks. Finally, it's vital to clearly present our findings to stakeholders so everyone understands the value of the project. Let's talk about managing potential problems, specifically risks. We use a risk register to keep track of everything that could go wrong on our project. It's like a checklist for trouble spots. Each risk gets an ID. We clearly describe what it is, how likely it is to happen, and the impact if it does. We then calculate a score so we can see which risks need the most attention. Once we know what could go wrong, we create risk response plans. These are strategies for dealing with each identified risk, whether that's avoiding it altogether, minimizing its effect, transferring responsibility to someone else, or just accepting it and having a backup plan. Let's talk about managing technical debt. It's a really important topic for project managers. Think of it like financial debt. Sometimes you need to take a shortcut to get something done quickly, but those shortcuts create what we call technical debt. It's the cost of reworking things later because you didn't take the best approach initially. There's good debt, which is strategic investments that pay off, and then there's bad debt, or technical debt, which can really hold your project back. We categorize it as design debt, code debt, basically anything that wasn't built the most efficient way possible. To manage this, we follow a cycle. First, we identify where the debt exists and track it using tools. Then, we prioritize what's causing the biggest problems. Next, we need to pay down that debt, which means dedicating time for refactoring and improvements. And finally, critically, we focus on preventing more technical debt from building up in the first place through good coding practices and consistent processes. Okay team, let's talk about incident management. It's a really important part of keeping our projects running smoothly. Basically, when something unexpected happens, a bug, a system outage, whatever, we need a plan to deal with it quickly and effectively. We start by identifying what exactly happened, then assess how big the problem is. Next, we try to contain the issue, like putting a stop to it spreading. Then we tackle the root cause itself, not just patching things up temporarily. After that, we get everything back to normal as fast as possible. And finally, we take time to learn from what happened and improve our processes for next time. Clear communication between everyone involved is absolutely vital throughout this entire process. Okay, let's talk about keeping your vendors on track. It's a really important part of being a great project manager. It's not just about getting the bills paid, it's about building strong partnerships that actually help your projects succeed. First, you need to clearly define what you expect from each vendor, with a solid statement of work. Next up are metrics. These are measurable things like on-time delivery or how quickly they fix problems. Regular check-ins and feedback are key. Don't wait for something to go wrong to talk to them. Finally, formal reviews help assess overall performance and make sure you're both heading in the right direction. Proactive communication is a huge factor here. Good vendor relationships lead to happy projects. Okay, let's talk about how we get the right people or resources involved in a project. First, we need to really nail down what exactly we're looking for. That means defining the scope of the project, setting a budget, and figuring out what the final deliverable should be. Next, we create a request for proposal, or RFP, which is basically a detailed document telling potential vendors everything we need from them. It outlines our requirements, how we'll be judging their proposals, and gives them clear instructions on how to respond. Once we've distributed the RFP, it's time to evaluate those proposals, looking closely at each vendor's approach, experience, and cost. Finally, we select the best fit and then negotiate a contract. Okay, let's talk about keeping everything organized with document control. Think of it as the central hub for all project information, your plans, requirements, reports, you name it. We need a clear system to identify each document uniquely, like Project Plan 1.2. A version control system, something like SharePoint or Google Drive, is essential for tracking changes and making sure everyone's on the same page. It's not enough just to create a new version. We also need an approval process, who needs to review it, sign off on it, and then share it with the team. Finally, we need a good place to store all these documents securely, with clear access controls so only authorized people can see them. And remember, version management isn't just about dates, it's about understanding why something changed, that helps prevent confusion and mistakes. Okay, let's talk about time boxing and how it can really help you manage your projects. Think of it as setting a tight deadline for specific chunks of work, like giving yourself a focus sprint. We start by honestly estimating how long something really takes, then block out a set amount of time to get it done. It's all about laser focus during that period. Time boxing helps you avoid letting things drag on forever and keeps your project moving forward. Plus, because you're working in defined blocks, it makes getting feedback much faster, which is crucial for iterative planning. Let's talk about impact, not just delivering a product, but why we're building it. Project impact analysis is all about understanding the bigger picture. We're looking at how this project will affect things like money. Are we saving costs or generating revenue? How will it change our operations and processes? And importantly, what difference will it make for our customers? It's also vital to ensure everything aligns with the company's overall strategy. By considering these key areas, we build trust and proactively address any potential roadblocks. Okay, let's talk about PMO. Think of them as the engine room for all your projects. They're not necessarily doing the work themselves, but they're crucial in making sure everything runs smoothly and consistently. There are different types of PMO. Some just offer helpful templates and training, others establish clear processes, and then you have directing PMO that actually manage resources and make strategic decisions. Their main job is to standardize how projects are managed, allocate resources effectively, keep an eye on risks, and provide regular updates. Let's talk about focusing our projects not just on getting things done, but on delivering real value. This approach is all about understanding the why behind what we're working on. We start by clearly defining what success looks like, setting SMART goals that everyone understands and can measure. Then, we map out how each task contributes to those bigger business outcomes. It's vital to keep stakeholders in the loop, sharing progress and getting their feedback along the way. And finally, be flexible. As things change and we learn more about what's truly valuable, we adapt our plans accordingly. Okay, let's talk about agile coaching and mentorship for project managers. It's more than just telling people how to do things, it's about helping them discover the best ways forward. Coaching is all about asking the right questions and empowering your team members to solve problems themselves. Think of it as guiding them, not directing them. Mentorship, on the other hand, involves sharing your own experience, what you've learned from successes and even failures. It's great to be open about your journey. To get started, observe your team, identify areas where people could benefit, and then start with small, focused one-on-one sessions. Don't forget to encourage peer-to-peer learning. A team that learns together is a team that thrives. Let's talk about the crucial distinction for project managers: leadership versus people management. Project leadership is all about the what, setting the overall vision, goals, and strategy for the project. It's about creating a clear roadmap and aligning everyone around it. Think of strategic planning, stakeholder communication, and making tough decisions. But that's just one part of the equation. People management focuses on how we empower our team to succeed. This involves coaching, providing feedback, resolving conflicts, and fostering a positive and productive work environment. Strong emotional intelligence, active listening, and empathy are key here. The really important thing to remember is that effective project managers need both strong leadership skills and solid people management abilities. They're two sides of the same coin. Okay, let's talk about situational leadership, a really key skill for any project manager. It's all about recognizing that your team isn't going to respond the same way to different leadership approaches. This model, developed by Hersey and Blanchard, suggests you need to tailor your style to match how ready each individual is to tackle a task. We've got 4 main styles: directing, where you give very clear instructions, especially useful for new team members; coaching, balancing guidance with the opportunity to develop skills; supporting, offering encouragement and trust when someone's more experienced but still needs a boost; and finally, delegating, empowering highly skilled individuals who can handle autonomy. It's about being flexible and responsive to your team's specific needs at any given time. Let's talk about managing projects when they span continents. It's not just about keeping tasks on schedule, it's really understanding how people from different backgrounds approach work. Communication styles, like whether someone prefers direct this or more indirect approaches, can vary dramatically. Then there's time. Some cultures are very strict with punctuality, while others are much more flexible. And decision-making processes. Some thrive on consensus, others follow a clear hierarchy. It's important to be aware of these differences and adapt your style accordingly. Don't forget about how conflicts are handled. What's considered acceptable in one culture might not be in another. Finally, understanding values around work-life balance and individualism versus collectivism can really make or break a project. Okay, let's talk about running effective workshops. As a project manager, you'll often be leading these sessions, and they can make or break your project. The first thing is to always start with clear goals. What do you actually want to achieve? Then, create a structured agenda with timing so everyone knows what to expect. Don't just talk, use engagement techniques like brainstorming or dot voting to get everyone involved. And most importantly, be an active listener and a skilled moderator. Keep the discussion focused and make sure everyone has a voice. Okay team, let's talk about getting everyone on board with project changes. Successfully managing a project really depends on how we handle this, making sure people are ready and invested in a new way of doing things. First, we need to understand where we're starting from by looking at our current processes and identifying what needs fixing. Then, using tools like the OPM3 model can help us gauge each person's readiness for change, considering factors like how aware they are, what they know, and how committed they feel. It's all about clear communication, letting people know why we're changing things, what the benefits are, and addressing any concerns upfront. And finally, getting stakeholders involved is crucial. That means figuring out who's affected and tailoring our message to each person, actively seeking their feedback, and showing them how this change actually helps them. Okay, let's talk about handling those unexpected bumps in the road project crises. First things first, it's important to quickly understand exactly what's going on and how bad it is. Then, clear communication with everyone involved is key, keeping people informed every step of the way. Next, rally your team, get the right people focused on finding solutions. And don't forget to revisit your risk register. Crisis often highlights previously overlooked potential problems. Let's talk about certifications. They're really important in the world of project management. We've got a few key players here, like PMP, which is all about general project management principles. Then there's PRINCEP, which takes a structured approach to projects. CSM focuses on leading agile teams using Scrum. And finally, PMI ACP validates your understanding of different agile methodologies. Think about what kind of projects you'll be working on and choose the certifications that will best help you succeed. Okay, let's talk about reporting. Effective project reporting is absolutely vital. It keeps everyone, your team, stakeholders, clients in the loop and helps us spot potential problems early. We'll be covering key components like status reports that give a quick overview of where we stand, risk registers to track those potential roadblocks, issue logs for anything that needs fixing, and change requests when things need to shift. And it's not just about asterisk. With asterisk, you report compliance is super important to making sure everything aligns with company rules and any specific agreements or regulations. Okay, let's talk about project closeout documentation. It's a really important step in ensuring your projects are truly successful. It's not just about wrapping things up, it's about capturing the knowledge gained along the way. We're talking about a final report outlining what went well and what didn't, signed off approval from key stakeholders that everything met expectations, a detailed lessons learned document to feed into future projects, and of course, making sure all project materials are safely archived. And don't forget financial closure, confirming everything is paid for and the budget is settled. Thank you for watching.